College, Autonomous, IQAC Cell. I feel honored to welcome you all on day 5 for session 4 as well as 5 of National Level 7-day online workshop on revised NAAC norms and procedures. This is conducted under the Aegis of UGC scheme PARAMARSH. Before moving further, I would like to keep you informed about today's session's set schedule. We have 2 sessions today. One will start at 3 p.m. and it will be till 4:15 p.m. It's on criteria for infrastructure and learning resources by Dr. Shobhana Vasudevan, Principal, RA, Podar College, Mumbai. Followed by another session on criteria 5, student support and progression. It will start at soon after the first session and will conclude by 5:30 p.m. And the resource person for the session is Dr. B. Vanitha, Secretary, KGiSL, Educational Institution, Coimbatore. I would like to read out the guidelines which the participants are expected to adhere to. Kindly mute your audio and video throughout the program. Kindly refrain from introducing and greeting each other or with the speaker in the chat box. Please write your comments or questions to the speakers with your name and college at any time in the public chat space. This webinar allows publicly visible chat. Keep your contributions helpful and considerate of the host and other participants. The participation e-certificates shall be issued only upon successful submission of the feedback form posted during the webinar on a daily basis. Kindly note, today's feedback form link will be shared only after the completion of both the sessions. The certificate will be emailed to the registered mail ID. This exercise may take up to 7 working days after 15th January 2021. If you fail to get your certificate post 22nd January, you may contact us on sjciqac14@gmail.com. The final feedback form of the workshop will be made available only on completion of the last session on 15th January 2021. We'll start the session sharp at 3 p.m. Kindly refer. Directly see the chat box is only for the questions of the resource person. Participants, kindly wait. We will start very shortly. Participants, kindly excuse, we are waiting for our resource person to join. We'll be starting shortly once ma'am joins. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I invite Dr. Syed Wajid, IQAC Director, to start the preliminary session for today.
Good afternoon, all. Sorry for this technical glitch. Our resource person is going to join in a couple of minutes. So meanwhile, I thought I would just try to brief you about what next after today. So all of you are aware of the program. So today we are already with day 5. We'll be having presentations of 4 and 5th criteria. So tomorrow we're going to be having presentations on criteria 6 and 7. So Thursday, there's going to be a break because of the festival. And then Friday, we're going to join back again. So that's going to be our last day, day 7 of the workshop. So day 7, it is panel discussion and validatory program. So in the panel discussion, the title, the theme is already aware of, that is the SSR preparation, the success mantra, and the know-how. So there are going to be questions taken by whatever you are going to be posting during the session. I also had requested on the day 1, if you can also mail me the questions at wajid@sjc.ac.in. Those questions pertaining to the preparation of the SSR would also be taken during the panel discussion. So 2 of our panelists, the senior NAAC assessors, are going to be with us, and they are going to be answering your questions pertaining to SSR preparation, the self-study report preparation, and followed by which we'll have the validatory program. So during the validatory program, I would also request a few of the participants, might be 2 or 3 participants, to also share your feedback regarding the same. Whatever have been your experience with the last 7 days. On that day, it's going to be 7 days. So you can also share it with us. So the resource person is online. Just give me a couple of minutes. So we are going to get connected with you shortly. So now you can. So the resource person will be joining us shortly. If at all you have any sort of question, clarification, kindly you could check with me related to any of the criteria that were dealt in past. You could type out the questions if you have any such questions. Amita, you can enable the chat box so that they can type out the questions in case they have any.
Meanwhile, I would like to reiterate the guidelines of workshop, which participants are expected to follow throughout the sessions. Mute your audio and video throughout the program. Kindly refrain from introducing and greeting each other. You can post any questions in the chat box. Chat box is only for the resource person and the participants for the Q&A session. Please write your comments or questions to the speaker with your name and college at any time in the public chat space. This webinar allows publicly visible chat. Keep your contributions helpful and considerate of the host and other participants. The participation e-certificate shall be issued only upon successful submission of the feedback form posted during the webinar on a daily basis. Kindly note, the feedback form link for today will be posted only after the completion of both the sessions. The certificate will be emailed to your respective email IDs. This exercise may take up to 7 working days after 15th January 2021. If you fail to receive your certificate post 22nd January, you may contact us on SJC IQAC14@gmail.com. The final feedback form of the workshop will be made available only on completion of the last session on the 15th January 2021. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am has joined. Ma'am,
Okay,
sure.
sir.
You can proceed with the program. Sana. Yeah.
A warm welcome to our resource person for session 4, Dr. Shobhana Vasudevan, Principal, RA Podar College, Mumbai. Ma'am will emphasize on infrastructure and learning resources. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the participants from mentee institutions, participants who have joined us across the nation via Zoom and YouTube platforms, and my dear colleagues from St. Joseph's College Autonomous. Thank you everyone for joining us for today's sessions. Now I invite Professor Aparna from Department of Computer Science, IQAC member, to introduce resource person to the participants. Over to you, Professor Aparna.
A very good afternoon to one and all. Dr. Mrs. Shobhana Vasudevan could be described as a hardcore educationist. Having joined the profession as early as 1981, she has been associated with R.A. Podar College since 1985. During her fairly long association with Podar College, till date, she has performed multiple roles. She has been a lecturer, reader, associate professor, NSS program officer, vice principal, chairman of examinations, and the like. She has been guiding the students to conduct college activities as the chairperson of Students' Council. She became the principal of the college in 2009. Madam has been working for NAAC accreditation during all the 3 cycles when the college was accredited with the highest grade at every cycle. Dr. Shobhana Vasudevan has been an avid researcher herself and has been encouraging research activities at the institution. Besides publishing her research work in reputed journals, she has been awarded a PIN India Research Excellence Award by University of Santiago de Compostela, Spain. She was invited to deliver a lecture at universities abroad, including the University of Wisconsin, USA. She is the editor of the International Disciplinary Research Journal, Podar Prabodhan, published by RA Podar College, which has been tagged by JCATE. She has traveled widely in India and abroad. She has been invited to deliver her views on higher education, finance, capital market, research methodology, etc. on a regular basis. Madam has been instrumental in reviving the Research Center for Banking and Finance at Podar College. She, being the recognized guide under the University of Mumbai, has been guiding students for PhD degree in commerce. Dr. Shobhana has been instrumental in establishing 2 more research centers in the last 4 years as well. She has been coordinating and conducting refresher courses, research coursework, and research methodology workshops on regular basis under the auspices of UGC, MHRD, ICSSR, WIRC, RUSA, and other funding agencies. Madam has been associated with NAAC as a member of the committee for revising NAAC guidelines and also a member in devising the guidelines for IQAC. She has been closely associated with the parent body of the college, Shikshana Prasaraka Mandali, Pune, as a chairman of the administrative board. Besides college administration, she has been recognized by the society and community as she has been included as a member of Mahila Dakshata Committee of Mumbai Police. It works for the betterment of women and children. She believes in making her students learn as she strongly advocates learning more than teaching. For her, Podar College campus is a temple of learning. Ma'am, a very warm welcome and we look forward to hearing from you. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aparna. It was indeed a very lengthy and not a necessary introduction. All our participants may get themselves introduced to me after an hour or so, where we are going to interact with each other on criterion number 4. Thank you very much, but for introducing me by highlighting on few areas. Probably the participants by now would have understood that this is going to be the job that we all need to concentrate on, that is learning. Today, we are going to be again going through a process of learning that I'm going to learn from you and I'm going to place before you for that so that you may learn something. At the outset, let me thank, I think I have shared my presentation, Mr. Syed. Mr. Syed, can we have the presentation right away so that without wasting much of our time, we can jump into the job of getting on to our...
Yes, ma'am. I'm sharing the presentation.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hope you could see the screen.
Yeah. I think I can see the screen. Hope all the participants are able to see the screen and also are able to hear me. And of course, I never like to start anything with negative mode, but still today, due to some technical issues, I had to join a bit late. Apologies for it to the organizers and to the participants. And thank you for bearing with me in this kind of technological hiccups, which many times we encounter. Thanks to the pandemic, we learned to overcome it. And that is how I am there with you. Of course, this is going to be a customary way of thanking, acknowledging the job that St. Joseph College has been doing and currently is on the job under the Aegis of PARAMARSH to conduct some mentee institution, giving them some kind of an outline or overview about the NAAC criterion. I think you have been undergoing this from 7th of January, 5 days down the line. You must have become a NAAC official by yourself by now. And let's see how we are going to take it along with a few more criterion from my side so that we can complete one full circle of how to approach the accreditation process. I do owe my thanks to our parent body, Shikshana Prasarak Mandali, for their continued support, and my dear colleagues and faculty members at RA Podar College who have been there motivating me, making me who I am. Principles are made not by the person, but by the faculty and the students, which I strongly believe in. Of course, I have to thank NAAC. Without NAAC, you and I won't be here on this virtual platform. But in this context, I'm going to acknowledge NAAC because I'm going to draw heavily from certain manual related details, which has been given by NAAC. Last revised and completed, I think it is going to be 22nd January for 17th December 2019 was the last revision of the manual for UG and PG colleges, and the revised manual for universities and autonomous colleges was last revised on 22nd January 2020. But we are already on 12th of January 2021. All of us know that January 20 and January 21, the 10 months have been locked down and we have been doing so many other innovative activities. And now we are back again in the accreditation process. Peer team visits have started, and let us get geared up for the NAAC guidelines. Last but not the least, you participants make the show, and you are the one who is going to make any program successful. Let me pray and hope that an hour that we are going to pass together is going to give you a little bit of a inch higher in terms of your knowledge domain, and you are going to go back taking something due from this session. Thank you, participants, and I hope that I live up to your expectations. Let's begin. I have not brought many things on table because I know that all of us have got little bit of knowledge about NAAC, the necessity of it, the benefit of it, the importance of it, and how it is going to transform ourselves. But I will not miss this opportunity to make one sentence about this NAAC accreditation process. Remember, it is voluntary. In a way, they say that it is going to be a compulsion that it get accredited. You are going to get this, you are going to get that. But you are going to offer yourself for accreditation. It is your initiative. You are going to ask the NAAC people to come. You are going to give details about your own institution. So it's going to be that we who take the initiative, because all of us want the quality enhancement. At the bottom of the heart, we do have reservations about what we are doing, what we can do, what better we can make the whole educational scenario. Each of the teachers sitting over here, principals and vice principals and all academicians who have gathered in this virtual platform have got that one small kind of a nagging tendency that how do I make my institution better? How do I make my students and learners better? How I am going to contribute to the future generation so that our objective of making our country, economy, nation, world, families, micro, macro in a better perspective. Now let's go into criterion 4 that has been given to me by the organizers to talk about infrastructure and learning resources. So to begin with, I just did a little bit of a calculation mathematically, quantitatively, and it is 100 marks, which is very familiar to all teachers because we always mark out of 100. And this 100 unusually is going to be same for universities, autonomous colleges, affiliated colleges, UG colleges, and PG colleges. So this is going to be a great advantage that this infrastructure and learning resources does not distinguish between the size of the institution, the level of the institution. That means there is a common parameter, but this is important across the higher education institutions, across the delivery module of the higher education institution. And this criterion 4, 6, and 7 does not distinguish. And I have been given criterion 4, and let us go into that criterion 4. Before we embark upon our journey, I will just introduce to you what I want you to be after the completion of an hour from now. Sire, can we have the next slide? Yeah. At the end of the session, it is expected, I think all of you can read it by yourself, but I will help you with the bold things that I have highlighted. I want you should be able to understand that you have got some infrastructure already. You have certain learning resources already. We are not going to create anything new. Even if some of you are going to be in the process of making a college new, you would have identified the land, you would have identified the location. So there is something on hand. So infrastructure and learning resources aapke paas jo already hai, I want you to assess, reassess it. Just to have a thorough introspection, are we using it adequately? Is the land put into proper use, or the classrooms are put into proper use? Apna haath mein jo hai, whether I am using it or not adequately. This introspection I would like each one of you to have. Availability and utility. There is a synchronization should come in. That there is something available already. We are going to create new, make new, buy new, Those are all different things. But jo haath mein hai, available hai, am I using it? Is there a synchronization between availability and utility? Is the third question that I want you to ask yourself at the end of the session. Productivity, the topic which few commerce teachers may immediately understand and few of the science teachers will definitely appreciate. With the little resource, how much we can be productive. I think we all have become highly productive during this COVID period. How to use our home, how to use our home remedies, how to use the little portions of things that we possess. We have understood with the existing material how to get the maximum and how to get the best. COVID-19 and lockdown has taught most of us across the world, and we are in our own sphere of life must have learned. But I want you to apply to your institution. Are we using adequately? One bench that is given to a student, whether that student is able to sit properly, whether the blackboard that is given to me, whether the smart board that is being purchased by my college, how productive it is. The cricket ball in your sports room, the small track of volleyball court in your sports ground, how much productive it is. Very importantly, the fifth point that I wanted you to introspect is whether we are having a need-based approach. NAAC is giving so many guidelines. Yes, NAAC is a national body. It can enter into a median point, considering the entire gamut of the country together, compare it with the world standards, and they are going to have some kind of a typical formula and kind of a suggestions and recommendation. But we all know that one code doesn't fit all. There is something that is going to be special, something that is going to be situational, something that is going to be very special to your own institution, college, university, autonomous college, whatever it is. It may be a location, it may be the background of your students, it may be the credibility of your teachers, it may be the management that is going to be running so many other institutions. What kind of need that particular location or the locality is going to be expecting from us with the resources that we are going to have. We have to review the situation, suggest better utilization to your management, including your principal, recommend innovative ways by making the learning resources used to the maximum, and of course, last, which I have included in the list of what you should be able to, is understand that you are the major resource. You are the major resource who will be contributing towards the adequate use of the available man-made learning resources provided to you by your management and your principal. Probably we will review the whole questions, my expectations from you, and of course your expectations was passed on to me by Syed. He said there are certain mentee institutions wanted to know about quantitative matrix, qualitative matrix. He also said there will be some participants who are going to be autonomous colleges who have already gone through the rigor of NAAC twice, thrice and got highest grade. And there is going to be a kind of a mixture of the participants. And he requested me that I should be able to balance it. Mr. Syed, I will try to do my level best. And I must thank you at this point of time for being too good as a coordinator and having contacting me whenever there is a need and helping me out by clearing my small kind of doubts. I won't say it is a doubt, clarification about the entire session and program. Syed, can we go to the next slide? We are going to plunge into the basic thing. My dear participants, you all know criterion 4 is going to be again divided into 4 parts, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3 and 4.4. Again, that 4.1 is subdivided into so many small kind of subdivisions. That is what the manual of your NAAC is going to tell you. See, I am not going to be repeating what the NAAC manual has given you. There's no point in doing it. You are more knowledgeable, more wiser to read and interpret and write the questions and complete your SSR. I'm not going to be a guide for you to write an SSR. But what I want to do is, what is this physical facility? Let us have a imagination. What exactly is NAACing? What is the philosophy when NAAC is going to align 30 marks for this physical facilities? Somebody may say, madam, it is very less. Physical facilities are the most crucial element in the entire process of higher education. That why only 30 marks for the physical facilities? So let's not go into the pros and cons, whether it should be 30, 300, 3000. We are not there for it. We accept. NAAC has said, chalo, physical facilities आप provide करते हो अच्छी तरह से, आपको 30 marks मिल जाएगा out of 100. And out of the 30, they say that qualitatively we are going to check 10. That is, you are eligible for 10 marks. And quantitatively, that is the DVV process is going to pick up 20. Now, this particular caption that I have given is only for indicative. Maybe for you to ask me questions during the question answer session. I am not going to dwell upon this 10 and 20. It is only for your mathematical knowledge. Whether it is QLM or QNM, believe me, everything is going to the philosophy at the beginning. What should I give to my students to make the teaching learning better? Definitely, the physical facilities play a key role. The land and buildings, which is given, classrooms, how they are ventilated, how they are illuminated, how many tube lights, how many fans, if it is going to be a cold climate, do we need fan or do we need any other additional provisionals that we have to provide for the students to make them little more ready to learn? Remember, my dear participants, there is a difference between readiness and comfort. There are stories that are narrated by our elders that students should not have any comfort. They have come for study. Whether it is a good desk or a bad desk, whether it is reclining or whether it is going to be little hard to sit, they have come here to study, they have to study. That's fine. That is accepted and that is true also. But when we are going to give this process of teaching learning in 21st century, there is certain basic things that we need to provide to our children. Of course, gone are the days where the anecdotes were given. The environment was different, the facilities were different, the movement was different, and the entire economic and situational aspects were completely different. Today, we are in a different world. People have to travel a lot to reach the colleges. There are certain kinds of hindrances that we are going to come across. Of course, this I am suggesting about the physical classrooms that we have been having around 10 to 12 months back. And we may be expecting it to back to the normal maybe after 5 to 6 months from now. In between, we are having different experiments. So I'm not going to touch upon that when we are going to talk about this physical facilities as a NAAC criterion. What are the basic things that we have to give? Drinking water. Believe me, my dear colleagues sitting over here, whatever I have noted down in the next slide, which is going to continue with 5 more kind of facilities that we can provide, I am confident that all of us have it. Much more. But when NAAC comes, we all take this for granted. For example, drinking facilities, drinking water facilities. How many times I clean my tank? Do I have record for cleaning the tank? Do I have a system in which the tank water is going to be potable? You can have the record. It is already done in your college. You ask your administrative wing, they will be spending some money. Water tank cleaning and replacement of the carbon portion of your water filters if you provide to the children for drinking water. The tap that is going to be running water that is being supplied. So many things the colleges do because we do take care. There is no need for an external agency to come and tell us, take care of the health of your children. We are highly responsible. But what is the problem when we start writing the SSR under physical facilities? We take things as granted. अरे सब लोग करते हैं, हम भी करते हैं. Fine. But हम भी करते हैं, वो बोलने में क्या problem है? वो हम नहीं करते हैं. All we need to do is how many times we clean the water tank. Who is going to be given the responsibility for cleaning the water tank? What is the certification? Maybe if you are going to be a little more smart and your college is going to be a science-oriented college, you can collect the water tank sample and find out the toxins and intoxins and make a tabular form and make it a very good document that this is what we take care of the health of our children by providing clean drinking water for anybody who comes to our campus. Not at all difficult, my dear colleagues. Very easy. But what we need to do is take a little time, make a plan. When I'm going to talk about physical facilities, I will just concentrate. Whitewash karna padega, isko plants sadar leke aana padega. So our thinking process is going to be on a very, very macro level. But when NAAC comes, the quality in inspection takes place. These are the micro level that captures the mindset of the peer team. And that is many times are not being captured properly. Although we have everything, we will be doing all these things. But where is the record? We don't have it. When we are going to create a record and somewhere we will be able to put in the even QNM matrix, where we are going to take care of the health and hygiene of the students who are visiting our campus. Similarly, washrooms and sanitary facilities. Number you may have or you may not have. Have it? No. Normally, it is the job of internal quality assurance cell to take stock of all these things. Make a mathematical model that this is going to be the number of students who have been admitted, girls, boys. Is there any special facility that we are going to go for people with disability? Everything that we are going to have the exact number and we are going to have some kind of a calculation done. Aapka 30 marks haath mein aa jayega. You will be wondering, what is it QNM 4.1.2? Outdoor and indoor games. All of us have it. Of course, we at the city of Bombay are not so fortunate like colleges and schools elsewhere in the part of our country, in other parts of our country. Bombay, most of you, if you had visited or heard, is going to be a land scarce city. There is a scarcity of land. But elsewhere in our country, there is lot of space that is available. Recall my productivity component. Are we using it properly? Can we make outdoor, simple outdoor games, not necessarily that it should be the kind of big names and modern names that need to be there in your college to get the 30 marks. Use the land, use the facility available so that you are going to make the children have that physical fitness by playing whatever the physical games that you can think about. Not necessarily foreign, it can be Indian, it can be local, and it can be something that has been gone in the history. Revive it. There's no problem at all. And in your quantitative metrics, if you are going to say that I have revived this particular game, so special to my area, where the people once upon a time have been practicing this, maybe boxing, maybe something physical kind of fighting or some kind of a wrestling, something. I don't want to use the word fighting for our students, but you can replace the word fighting with any other thing. By now, if you are able to visualize, ye kar sakta hai, wo kar sakta hai, that is where you are going to get that numerical figure 20. All you need to do is how are you going to be encouraging the outdoor games and indoor games. Believe me, my dear friends, if you are going to bring the local flavor into their sports activities, the number of participants is going to automatically increase. Right now, we are all very much upset that nobody is coming for physical activity. Games announce karenge to koi aata nahi hai. Nobody is taking the responsibility or initiative. All the teachers, all the senior members in the education scenario. Okay, I will keep to English only. Sorry for using few Hindi words. I will be taking care of it. Don't worry, Mr. Anand. When I am going to talk about the games and the kind of the sports facilities that I am going to create, the attraction lies in the familiarity of the game and my own fitness to the game. That is going to be the way that we have to plan the outdoor games and the available space for planning and conducting outdoor and indoor games. For example, your 4.1.2, which is one of the numerical metrics that you are going to get. You are going to talk about whether you are providing. See, I am telling you again and again. NAAC has given you gym hai kya? Is there gym? Is there yoga center? NAAC is giving certain words, but not necessary that you have to stick only to that. NAAC wants you to introduce newness into the outdoor games. And if you are able to bring that mode, if you are able to bring that kind of a dimension, I think we are fulfilling the philosophy of NAAC, that we involve each and every student in terms of physical fitness and encouraging them to participate. I don't want that 5%, 10% sports personalities. Not necessarily that if your college has got the enrollment of 2000, all of them should go and shoot at the Olympics. No way. But all the 2000 should be physically fit. All the 2000 should be knowing the need for physical fitness. If we are going to achieve it by providing the physical facilities, involving them, half the battle is won in provision of physical facilities. Let's go to the few more additional points under physical facilities. Common rooms for stakeholders, seating arrangements, classroom facilities. See, these are the few things that people never ever think about. What is everybody has, let me tell you. Whatever I am going to speak for another already 10 minutes, 15 minutes are gone. Another 40 minutes, whatever I am going to say, you all have it. I am 100% certain about it. Each and every institution has all these things. But we don't give due importance to them. We are not understanding the role of these small initiatives in maintaining and improving and showing that we are interested in providing good physical facilities to our students. Classroom facilities, even a small cupboard over there, even a small kind of arrangement of your files and journals, a kind of thought for the day that you are going to establish. You make a group of people and the frontage of your classroom is going to be inviting. Some kind of not necessarily that you are going to have a big festival decoration of your classroom as NAAC team visits. No way. It should be a daily exercise, how to make it more exciting for our students to come. And note it down. We have an innovative way of inviting our classroom students. Sometimes we take the classroom outside. We conduct the lectures outside. Shantivan karke, we do it. These are going to be the small things that we do already. Again, I am repeating all these things we do, my dear mentee institutions. All you need to do is record it. Put it on paper, bring it on record and show it when the peer team visits. There lies your qualitative enhancement so that you are going to be unfolding that you are definitely interested in giving the best facilities for the learners who come to your institution. Coming about fire extinguishers, there is a norm. Every state government has told. I think every state government in India under the normal education policy that you have to take care of disaster management. You have to provide facilities in terms of fire breathing. Everybody has purchased everything. All you need to do is put a sticker when it was purchased, when it was refilled, and there will be a logbook that these fire extinguishers are on there, and you have your NCC unit who are trained with that. When the NAAC team comes or fire extinguisher, that is how we are going to allow our children also to use the fire extinguisher. How are we going to link everything? Existence of facility, usage of facility, and bringing the learners and the faculty and the people in the organization coming in the facilities purview. Done. Now your physical facilities is very well taken. If it is going to be the inner inertia that you want to give, and you already have it. No, none of the people sitting here want to give shoddy facilities to our learners. We 100% don't want our children to have toilets and sanitation facilities which is inadequate. None of us sitting here will be happy if our children are going to fall ill by making toxic water from the running tap. None of us want it, and none of us will never do it also. But what is the preventive step that we are taking have to be included when you are going to go for your physical facilities. See, NAAC definitely is going to be a little more quantity oriented when it comes to spending. That is where I always wish that put them on record. You all spend on all these things. You would have made a disaster management session for the entire college. You would have asked somebody to deliver a lecture or maybe a demonstration. That is a spending for improvement of your infrastructure or protection of your infrastructure. Put it under physical facilities. The number of things that you are going to be doing. Say, for example, can we go to the previous slide, Sayed, for a minute? When you are going to talk about illumination and ventilation, talk about the number of tube lights that you are having, number of benches, number them, very easy. Just call one of your students, all the classrooms, the tube light has to be numbered. There will be a stock of tube light, TL1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If your college is going to be on ground floor, only G. If it is going to be a first floor, second floor, F1, F3, tube light 1, tube light. See, you give this exercise that you will be very enjoying the entire kind of an exercise. Students will be more prone and they will understand the presence of mind of switching off the tube light when they leave the classroom, and what is going to be the lesson, the civic sense that you are going to teach them. That is going to be coming into their 4.4, where maintenance of physical facilities is being done by our students indirectly. All these things are doable. That is what I want to present before you. I think let's go to, we will be having a question answer at the end. Anybody who want to ask any questions about it, please write it and keep it so that we can come back to this 4.1 again. We are now going to 4.2. Favorite of all the teachers, library. And people of my age or maybe in that early 60s or late 50s or late 40s are those who love and enjoy sitting in the library and also complain that children are not using the library nowadays. They are not reading books. Reading habits have gone down. These are the staff room dialogues that we always hear. When we were students, we did this, we did that. Nowadays, the children are not interested in reading. Let's ask question to ourselves. Whether are we making the library as a learning resource? Is it possible to invite them to the library, glue them to the library, sit there in the library, or enable them to have a remote access and do it from their homes? Library is the heart of any higher education institution. In my opinion, this 20 marks is going to be very, very less. But if you have to get 20 on 20, you can understand that you have realized where is the heart of an educational institution. It is not the principal's room, nor is it in the classroom. Definitely, it is not there in the gymkhana. It is there in the library, the knowledge center of an educational institution. What NAAC has done? They have completely made it numeric. Completely. How many e-books are there? How many e-journals are there? Only 4 marks are going to be assessed. But believe me, you better believe me, because definitely I will not be having the audacity to tell a lie in front of this virtual audience. When the peer team comes, the library is going to be the one which they are going to be observant about. You may think peer team visit is going to carry only 4 marks, and I've already got 16 by giving all the list of details of e-books and e-journals and the remote access and the computerization, etc., etc. So I don't need to bother. Please don't make that mistake. Again, the philosophy. You must make them understand how important is library for you. How for you making the children read, learn through reading is critical for their development. And what kind of facilities you are going to make them access your library and not run away. Again, compare your 1980, 1990 to 2020. Students, at the click of the button, they get everything under Google. Nobody now bothers anything to read that is going to be extra. But we need to talk about when we will talk about your question later. When we are going to talk about the attraction of the learners to the library, we need to live up to the technology. Again, there is going to be a debate. One person is able to access Google at the click of the mouse or the click of the smartphone. Maybe there are around 20% who doesn't have the facility. And those who doesn't have the facility do not want to visit the library, maybe because they are shy, they are not able to read. The problem with us is, whenever we talk about library, we are very much restricted only to one particular language, English. English is important. English medium is what we normally promote. And that is going to give a lot of job opportunities. We are not going to deny that fact. But attracting the students and learners to the library should begin with something that they are going to be close. Maybe the mother tongue. Maybe some kind of a programs that we are going to create in the library. Celebrating the heroes, national heroes days. Display the books. For example, Lal Bahadur Shastri ka celebration that took place few days back, I think yesterday or day before. All our libraries will be rich with the history and the movement of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Remove those books, display them, give a competition. Whoever is going to be identifying the book first and get some kind of a details from it are going to be given some kind of appreciation. That is one way of attracting. But the best way is to make your library user-friendly, and by computerizing and making the possible technology enablement in your library definitely is going to attract your students. There will be very, very important step that one has to take up, so that library as a learning resource, we can convert the existing boredom that most of the libraries face. I am very cautious when I make the statement most, because there may be one or two experiences of participants sitting here where the students visit the library quite often. One amongst them is myself. In our college, we definitely make sure that some way the learners go to the library and are going to access some books at least and give some kind of a work, so that it is not readily captured from Google and copy paste is not done. Library budget, library committee, all of them we have. We have everything. When we are going to talk about library budget, we have it prepared. It's a mandatory thing. Every college has got a library committee. There is a purchase procedure. And here comes the rider for NAAC. How do you buy books? That is what one question the NAAC peer team will ask you. We identify some titles. And I think in the previous slide, I have given you certain clues. that number of books, number of titles, all of you know about it. So I didn't elaborate on it. There is a small difference between number of books and number of titles, which you have to understand. Your college librarian will be able to help you, but ask the him or her to keep ready with number, because number of books may be 10,000 and the number of titles many times is going to be 3,000. 1/3 will be the title, maybe 3 times will be the number of books. And the NAAC is interested in the number of titles and not number of volumes and books that college possesses. Coming back to the procedure of purchase, who recommends the purchase? Is it based on students? If the students can recommend, what is going to be the system? When you are going to talk about the students, there should be a suggestion slip, and you are going to have a guiding mechanism through which the students are going to be given the opportunity to suggest books for their own benefit, and if they are going to enhance their own knowledge. Maybe they will be interested in getting some books which are going to be helping them for MPSC, UPSC. Those suggestion slips have to be taken into account, placed in the purchase committee. Library committee should deliberate over it, and buying has to be done. What is the system for lending book? And of course, the capacity of the library in terms of the number of students. And if you are going to talk about one important 5 marks QNM with reference to library, is going to be the number of students visiting. You can see the 3rd point in my slide. Number of students who could be accommodated. Special facility. You can say that in my library, there are 200 people who can come at the same time. But do you have a record, or do we create a recording system where these 200 students, at what point of them they come? Some kind of a graphic, you know, that after this 1, 2, 3, we have peak, students are going to be there. 4 to 5, we have the peak, the staff are going to be available in the library. I don't want you to take video shot cameras, hidden cameras for the screenshots that are going to be displayed to the NAAC team. No way. NAAC peer team is going to be so smart, and they can just see your library and understand how many students can be accommodated and what kind of mechanism that you are going to follow to keep a record of the per day visit of the student and per day visit of your staff. What are the steps taken? See, everything need to be documented. Believe me, my dear colleagues sitting over here, although I started with the marks 100, 20, 30, and I'm going to be repeating it, we are not here to earn that 100 marks. When we go for NAAC accreditation, we are here to do something better for our students. Make something better environment for our learners. That is our objective. Incidentally, we get the 20, 30, 100, A+, A++. That is an incidental. But what I want is my learners must come to the library. Appetite for reading, appetite for learning have to be induced. How can I do it? Hundreds of methods, innovative methods are there, my dear friends. All you need to do is to think, deliberate, and recommend. No money is required. No investment is required for innovative ideas for making your learners to come to the library. You don't need to supply them 2-wheelers, 4-wheelers to drive them to the library, and that is the investment that is needed to motivate my students. No way. There are hundreds and thousands of means and methods we faculty members can identify to make sure that our learners go to the library, and the librarian is going to make it possible so that the students are interested in participating in the learning process through consulting the books and other electronic facilities made available in the library. Finally, I have added one more point from the NAAC perspective: collaboration. It's very easy. Around 200 and odd participants are here in this particular platform today. Maybe you are all from various colleges. Maybe you are friends, or maybe you not. Make friendship, make a collaboration, make some kind of a plagiarism, some innovative that your library is going to be unique so that others come to your library. Neighborhood people are going to use your system, and you also are going to go for borrowing, lending, or some other kind of upgradation of your own knowledge and spirit about the use of library. Maybe a program, maybe a seminar, maybe a group discussion, and collaboration always is the very, very pet feature for NAAC. NAAC is delighted when the resources are shared. Everybody is delighted when the resources are shared, because when you share the resources, the productivity increases multi-fold. I think we are ready to go to 4.3, IT infrastructure. Again, you can see 5 and 25. Everything is going to be captured. Bandwidth of your internet connectivity. You are going to speed of internet connectivity. What is your hardware? What is the software? Everything is captured in your DVV, that is a quantitative metrics. QLM, what it is going to talk about. Very, very basic thing is given in QLM. Very basic. Wi-Fi facility available in the campus. That is what they say. Please don't undermine with the simple statement of 500 words. You have written Wi-Fi facility. You give it here, you give it there. Library is Wi-Fi enabled. Classrooms are Wi-Fi enabled. And that's it. Please don't do that. Make it that it is going to be an infrastructure related to information technology. You understand first. Many times it may so happen that we may not be able to connect to the Wi-Fi which we said we had it in our institution. Practice it. Whether it is done with your mobile, find out from one of the students, can you connect to the Wi-Fi? What is the password? How the Wi-Fi is going to be connected in my classroom or college conference room? Please, my dear colleague, learn. Many times all these points are written, uploaded, and we patiently wait for the team to come. And finally, whether we are happy or not, the comment is going to be according to our level of satisfaction of the grade that is given. Again, I am repeating, it is not for the grade, it is for our learners. The facility is given for learning and learners. We need to learn. For example, I had a little bit of problem, and when we are going to cross that 50, 55, we become a little bit lethargic when it comes to technology. We must learn the technology. We must be abreast with this, and we should be able to answer any kind of IT related clarification which the peer team would like to have. You may upload that bandwidth is so and so. So you get that 5 marks, or I think it is going to be bandwidth carries 15 marks. DVV may, in the quantitative matrix, what is going to be the bandwidth of internet in your college or school or in your university, it is going to be given the maximum marks. Nobody is going to come and measure the bandwidth, but there are facilities in technology that your bandwidth can be immediately identified by a technology expert of NAAC. The speed can be identified. But what I suggest, you give everything when the peer team comes. Every computer in your college, let it have what is going to be the speed, RAM, make, the kind of capacity. Let the server be labeled, that what is going to be the capacity of the server. Let there be labeling, very, very easy. And all your software, whether it is make a proper record, licensing record of all your MS Office and Windows, and whether you are going to be open sourcing. What is wrong? You can have open source of software, but mention it. If you are going to have a licensed software, license copies, you have to make a proper file out of it. So you cannot say that I have got licenses for everything, but somebody says and you are not able to produce it. And not necessary that every software should be a licensed software. There are so many things that are available under open sourcing. Identify them. That is innovation. That is how your IT infrastructure is going to be developed by you. And that is not very difficult, my dear colleagues. It all requires a little bit of your own upgradation about the IT and the need for IT infrastructure. I think all of us, with the push syndrome of this COVID-19, have understood the importance of IT, and few names and few terminologies which were alien to us few months back. has become household name today. Use this knowledge now and make your environment in your institution, which is going to be completely IT enabled, and you are a part of it. Let us not go back and recline and say that IT is going to be taken by an IT department, computer science department has to take care of it. I have no role to play. No way. Each one of you should be a participant of this IT revolution. We cannot escape from it, and let's do it. And that's what we need. Everything that you do, your own personal computer, everything you should be able to have, you will be able to provide that kind of a confidence that our institution as an IT infrastructure is just not ornamental, but it is going to be something we use on a daily basis. Last but not the least, maintenance of infrastructure. Equally divided, QLM 10 and QNM 10. Believe me, if you allow me, Syed will not allow me, madam, already it is getting late. But I will tell you, Mr. Syed and the organizers and all the entire participants sitting over here, all of us can discuss for at least minimum 2 to 3 hours on this one slide. Very, very easy. So much of innovation can be brought and so much of satisfaction we can get that we are going to maintain the facility. The problem with us, I won't say it's a culture, good or bad. Let me not make a blanket statement because it may touch upon wrongly on some individuals. We are definitely weak in maintenance. Even if we maintain, we don't have a record of our maintenance. For example, housekeeping and security service. Maybe we do it in-house or outsource. Where is the record? How much money that we are spending? We may not be able to immediately tell. It is there, the ledger account is there, administration wing will be knowing every month they are going to be footing the bill. But the IQAC must know an entire environment in the college, all of you involved in the teaching learning should know how much we pay the sweeper for keeping your college or classrooms clean and tidy. Can anything can be done? Only you can say that. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? There should be a complete involvement coming in only when you know, oh, is that amount we are spending on housekeeping? And I find these people doesn't do any job. And you are one of the stakeholder in your institution. You can definitely pull up that housekeeping person or security person that you are not doing the job properly, despite that you are going to be paid in lakhs and lakhs every year. Come to know about it. Transparency. Understand how much is going to be spent if it is outsourced. If it is in-house, all the more problem. Whether there is going to be dignity of labor, which is getting drained like anything in most of the places, including colleges. Why should I do it? It is not my job. It is not their job. I think all these things can be ironed out when we know that everything is monetized and everything is going to be carrying a price and the institution is definitely footing the bill. And when we know about it, the responsibility automatically sets in. I have again talked about the cleaning of water tank, maintenance of sewage line. Why I have brought it again is going to be the documentation. These are all coming under maintenance. Computer laboratory, science laboratory, software, firewall. What is going to be the frequency in which you are going to update? Quick heal. All the virus related software that you are going to buy. What is going to be the AMCs? Make a record. There should be a file of AMC, procedure for renewal, and how it is renewed. There should be a file. Number of computers in computer laboratories, frequency of being serviced, and what parts require to be changed and how it was changed. Again, a record. Of course, you all will ask me, you will be asking to your mind, Madam, where is the time for all these things? We have to do some correction work. We have to set the paper. We have to do the teaching. Let me tell you, if you use computers, if you use computing technology, this is going to be a half-a-minute job. You can create a file and keep the record, and that's it. You are done with your maintenance of campus infrastructure and your 20 marks is already there in your bag. Maybe that you are going to talk about one more aspect of infrastructure, cleanliness of the campus and involvement of the learners. This is very close to my heart personally. We are not giving opportunity for the learners and make them understand the importance of cleanliness. I don't know where we got it lost. Somewhere down the line, earlier classrooms used to be cleaned by the students by themselves. Now the dignity of labor, even touching a broomstick, is considered as something not so good. I think somewhere we have lost the importance of cleanliness. Again, sorry to bring this COVID-19 into a discussion mode again. We have understood the importance of cleanliness. We have understood the hand cleanliness and things like that, everything. Find out the ways and methods of sourcing our learners in this. Maybe let them not take the broomstick and clean the classroom, but they can definitely make a brigade. What you get is cleanliness brigade. You make a group of students. They have to take rounds. Let them understand cleanliness is very critical. And there may be NSS volunteers, NCC volunteers, or some people who are going to be on their own coming out to do the job. Make some groups of brigades that you can give them some kind of a beautiful, wonderful nomenclature. I can't think of many immediately. And you're all smart enough to think about very good nomenclature and positions. Brigade you can give and captain you can give. Let them have this kind of a responsibility and show it in your SSR. Amazingly, you will be rated that your maintenance is not going to be dependent on only outsource, but you are going to be involving your learners, that because there is some learning into that also. My dear participants, it's very, very easy and doable. All we need to do is not necessarily for NAAC, but the philosophy of NAAC. Not necessarily for getting the grade, but the philosophy behind quality enhancement. Not because that we are going to be rated A++, it's because our learners go out and are going to remain responsible citizens of this particular country. If we are going to combine all these things with the learning, I think the learning resources can definitely contribute in making our learners as resources. Maybe that is what I want to conclude in my next slide. I have asked few questions which may be related to the first slide which I gave, second slide of what is the expected outcome. We have the infrastructure currently used by us. All of you must say yes, because nobody can say no to it. After the session, do we feel that we can make use of facilities in a better way? I think there may be yes or no. AMC is annual maintenance contract for maintenance of your computers, maintenance of your hygiene system, etc. Could we suggest better productivity initiatives without much of it? See, all these suggestions that we have to give need not touch upon this monetary spending. Most of the time we begin there. They are not spending enough money. They are not giving enough money is what the complaint. But most of it related to physical facilities, believe me, can start from today without investing even a single paisa. All you need to do is to start doing something from your own innovative thoughts. Could we think of better stakeholder involvement? Stakeholder is first is you, second is your learner, and everybody is going to be a stakeholder, including your alumni, parents, everybody. You can involve them 100%. Is it difficult to score maximum under this criterion? My answer is a definite no. I leave it what your answer will be. Syed sir, can we go to the next slide? See, this is our objective, my dear learners. We are here when we speak about NAAC and assessment and accreditation. We are thinking that it is going to be something alien and it's going to be a one-time activity. Please don't think in that platform or in that kind of a plane. Your plane or your plenary position should be higher. What we want is that we want to mold our learners as resources. Because all of us sitting here will agree that there is a general complaint. The graduates don't know even to fix the fuse if it goes wrong in their own household. Engineers are useless. Postgraduate students don't know how to write a proper letter. I think this is a complaint most of us are going to be exposed to. We may take the responsibility, and of course we are responsible. How to transform our learners to useful resources? By making use of man-made resources. Teaching them small things. Not to waste water, not to waste electricity. How are we going to take care of the various environmental issues in your own institution? Are small things that you are going to give hint, and some kind of a connectivity that you are going to give as accountability, responsibility, etc. You may find a sea change, and they will be starting to use man-made resources. Remember, infrastructure and learning facilities are man-made. Whereas your teaching, learning are all little different level of your intellectual. And here it is going to be a man-made resource. Using a software, using a computer, using a Microsoft software, using a multi-people copier, using a Xerox machine, all are going to be man-made resources. How are you going to use a Xerox machine or a photocopier so that you don't make waste of paper? Small hints. If you teach them to better use the man-made resources, you are going to help them to become useful resources, and you are going to counter the complaint that our graduates and postgraduates are not useful to our society and are not employable. To achieve this, I may recommend, if you agree with me, I will be very happy, that entire physical facilities and learning resources should not be a cup of few people. It should be a complete access. Just because a vernacular medium student doesn't know how to key in, we should not make that person or a child excluded from the use of software. Access should be given to everyone. There should be a comfort zone that they should not have the fear and should be confident to use the technology. For that, you need to give that comfort zone. Some kind of empathy, some kind of teaching and making them at ease. Simple effort. The librarian can do it. A library clerk can do it. And you as a teacher can definitely do it. And you as a mentor can 100% achieve it. Give equity. Again, access and equity are one and the same. Give all people, have they, even in the staff, the research software, whether it is available to X teacher, Y teacher, that should not happen in an educational institution. All are equal. Whether I get a quality paper and my paper doesn't get published in a foreign journal, doesn't mean that I should not be using the software that is made available in our college library. And should be given to only that ex-professor whose journals are, whose articles are popularly accepted by foreign. No way. Equity brings responsibility and enthusiasm. Finally, knowledge is power, which I always insist upon. And when it is going to be, what is there in your college, you first find out. How many rooms are there in your institution? Please count. How many rooms are IT enabled? Please calculate. Have a meeting. Let the IQAC take an initiative to make everybody know what is there in your institution. The cross communication will make you to use the resources in the best for existing. And that is going to be what I would like to appeal to you. And I want you to be the change maker. And I wish that you are going to be the first person who are going to be making the required change and bring it to the benefit of our entire learning community. I think with this, I thank you for all patient hearing. And now we can go for your question answer session.
Thank you, ma'am. It was such an exemplary session. I'm sure participants have gained clarity on how to analyze the need-based approach for enhancing learning resources. And thank you for making us understand that we are the major resources who is responsible for utilizing all other resources. Thank you so much. So we have few questions posted by our participants. I request Professor Jayashankar from the Department of Zoology, IQAC member, to moderate the question answer session. Over to you, Professor Jayashankar.
Yeah, thank you, Sana. To start with where Dr. Shobhana left, knowledge is indeed power. That it was a power-packed, informative session, ma'am. Thank you. We'll take few questions related to the session. The first in line is by Mr. Manjunath, who is asking why library is in support service when it is the heart of the institution.
See, this is a nomenclature related question, I will say. The identification of various departments in an higher educational institution definitely is going to be left to the names that are going to be given. Maybe I think Mr. Manjunath's suggestion is a valid suggestion. We may enhance and elevate the position of the library. Maybe we can make it as a heart of the institution. Maybe that change will happen once we are going to make the library really becoming a heart. Now it is not that kind of a happening place. If we all work together and make the library become a heart, I think the change will definitely follow. And NAAC is always willing to undergo changes and revision. Definitely it may happen, Mr. Manjunath. Let's hope for it.
Madam, the second question is from Mr. Vidyasagar. His question is how libraries would be helpful for innovation in teaching learning as well as resource knowledge during a pandemic or any disaster situations like if there is no electricity or issues like remote areas or hill station.
As I observed, a library for me is a heart and soul of any educational institution, and librarian is also of that particular nature. There are so many issues that has been pointed out by our friend. See, library can definitely play a pivotal role in disaster time or everything. See, email is very normal nowadays. If we cannot give remote access due to the connectivity issues and network problem, we can definitely speak about email related services that we can give. Maybe some kind of a condensed, summarized version of certain topics can be made. For example, budget is going to be announced. If anybody is going to talk about budget session, that can be summarized, and the teachers can make a small write-up which can be sent through email to all of the learners. WhatsApp is going to be another major source nowadays, which is highly handy to make the information flow easy and smooth. See, there are so many things that a librarian could do on a normal day to encourage the learning habit. As I told you, I always believe that we have to display the books. Give a treasure hunt. You give a choice of the students, let them have a treasure hunt of books in the library. You choose one day, let it be Radhakrishn's birthday or anybody's or your own founder's day. You say that these are the books that are going to be, who is going to find the title first? Give some kind of a healthy competition. And I want this particular verse that are going to be given by Ravindranath Tagore. Which book of Ravindranath Tagore has it? See, some kind of innovative methodology we can definitely use to arouse the curiosity of the people. And for that, there is a need to invest time and energy. We just cannot keep on thinking that I want to do it, and I want books. Immediately, what is the demand that comes is that our books are very old. We have to go for new books and so many new titles have come. We have not purchased them. They are expensive. No way. Old is gold. Even you can give some kind of a trivia, historical kind of a quiz and give them, at least you select 10 books and keep it on the library table, librarian's table. Announce it on the previous day. Between 1 and 2, there is going to be a treasure hunt for names from the books that we are going to have. Maybe a dictionary, maybe a finance dictionary, maybe a zoology dictionary because you are a zoology person. Taxonomy, seeds, so many words can be given. And all the zoology books you display, and commerce students can participate in it. Not necessarily only science students should do it. Everybody should know what is going to be the scientific name of Tulsi and what are the medical benefits of Tulsi. What is wrong? See, how to arouse the curiosity, we have to work out. It's a strategy. Have I answered your question?
I hope so, madam. It was interesting. Treasure hunt. Yeah, that's a new trend that you're setting. Good. That is how we have to attract.
Yeah,
madam,
and it works very well. Huh? It is on the experiential learning, I am telling you.
Correct.
Whatever the observation is experiential learning, not theoretical.
Exactly. That's what. The one last question, madam, is from Rajesh Kumar. Could you please suggest some examples of involvement of learners in cleanliness? Yeah,
that's very, very important. Again, I leave it to you, Mr. Rajesh Kumar, to be innovative. But what we have experimented in, see, normally I don't want to give example of my college. That is not my cup of tea because it's boring. That what you do is to be, it's like marketing, which I don't do. But definitely you can involve the students, group of students, like whatever energy saving. See, you can ask them to monitor your water bill of your institution. Let them understand how much water bill the college is paying and how that leaking water tap is going to be expensive for the institution. How you can report to it. Maybe energy, maybe sanitation. I will prefer, I don't know, of course, now sanitation and cleanliness is going to be an open topic. There is no need to have any kind of reservation. Even girls' toilet, the kind of installation of your kind of a incinerator or something, give the charge to somebody. And vending, that pad vending machine, anything that you are going to install, let the children be responsible. So if you are going to give groups of students this responsibility, automatically the accountability comes at word of mouth. Many people don't even know what facilities are there in the college. In the toilet of our own institution, what additional facilities we have provided, many students don't know. But when you make the students in charge of it, the word of mouth publicity also goes, and there will be a kind of a change. See, it is not like switching on and switching off. It is not like a mouse click. It takes time. But you have to be innovative to select such kind of responsible children, experiment it, and it becomes a chain. And the chain becomes so strong over a period of 5 years, it becomes a very strong network of brigadiers of cleanliness of your institution.
Thank you, madam. As you said, it all comes with vast experience. Any further questions will be mailed to the resource person and the answers will be sent.
Somebody is asking the transparency of the bills with the college. See, let me tell you one thing. Always you remember Akbar Birbal's story. To the pie, there is no need to tell anybody. You can estimate one amount. What is wrong? So long it is not available to you, it is not going to be available to your students also. Somebody is asking me the question that how I will know about the water bill of my institution. You don't need to know. You know the water bill of your own society, your own home. Multiply it, make a kind of a figure and give it. It's not necessarily that it should be a sworn in truth that you are going to be there in the box on the, keep your hand on Bhagavad Gita and say that you are going to be talking only truth. We are interested in the outcome. If your management is not going fine with it, you want your children to be responsible that they have to use water in a proper manner. That's it. So give an estimated amount. This much bill is being paid by college. Itna bada, you can make a noise to such an extent that who is going to verify and see what is going to be the exact bill amount? When you don't know, who is going to know about it? So give an estimated amount. I think I don't want to repeat the Akbar Birbal story. All of you know the number of crores account given by Birbal in the city of Agra.
Thank you, madam. It was a lively and wonderful session. Over to Sana.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. To conclude the session 4, I invite Professor Jayashree from the Department of Chemistry, IQAC member, to propose vote of thanks. Over to you, Professor Jayashree.
Yeah, thank you, Sana. It's my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks for this wonderful session. I would like to thank our honorable speaker, Dr. Shobhana Vasudevan, Principal, Podar College, Mumbai, for taking out time of her busy schedule of giving us a valuable insight into the criteria 4, that is the NAAC infrastructure, learning and resources. I'm sure, madam, the information would definitely help us teachers and NAAC committee members of different institutions who has joined this webinar from different part of the country. Once again, I thank you, madam, for your wonderful session. Really, I all enjoyed it. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. It is my pleasure. And I also thank you for giving me this opportunity and for patient listening to my dear participants. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Syed, do I have permission to leave or how is it?
Ma'am, thank you very much for giving all your insights here. I would want you to be here with us in case you're free for the next session.
I will be there coming back and joining. Okay. Anyway, I will be there for some time and then I will.
So one kind request, there are quite a number of questions which has not been answered due to paucity of time. I shall mail those to you whenever you find time. Kindly, give us some response to that so that I can mail it to the participants.
You can rest assured about it. You know my mail address.
Yes.
You can just pass on to me and you can share my mail address with those queries and then even they can stay connected with me. Not a problem. Sure. It is my pleasure once again.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. Can you make Dr. Vanitha the co-host?
Taking no time, we are moving ahead to start our next session on criteria 5, student support and progression, as our resource person has already joined us. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our resource person, Dr. B. Vanitha, Secretary, KGiSL, Educational Institution, Coimbatore. I invite Professor Nisha Menzies from the Department of Psychology, IQAC member, to introduce the resource person to the participants.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our second resource person for the day, Dr. B. Vanitha. Dr. Vanitha is presently the Secretary of KGiSL Educational Institutions. She holds a Master's, MPhil, and PhD in economics and has over 32 years of experience in the field. She recently retired as Registrar of Bharatiya University, Coimbatore, having previously served as Professor and Head of the Departments of Economics and Econometrics at the university. Dr. B. Vanitha has numerous publications in various national and international peer-reviewed journals. She has also supervised several MPhil and PhD scholars. Dr. Vanitha has presented at several conferences and symposiums across India and abroad, including the Asia Pacific Quality Network Conference hosted by NAAC in 2011, where she delivered a talk on quality assurance in higher education. She has also conducted and facilitated several workshops on topics related to higher education, teaching learning processes, NAAC accreditation processes, leadership, student support, and management. Furthermore, Dr. Vanitha has been both a member and director of the IQAC of Bharatiya University and was even awarded for excellently coordinating the IQAC activities as a part of the PSG College of Arts and Science. We cordially invite Dr. Vanitha to this online workshop on NAAC and look forward to learning from her expertise as she facilitates the session on student support and progression. Over to you, madam.
Nisa, am I audible right now?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Can I go ahead with my presentation?
Yes, you can share the screen, ma'am. Hope you have no issues with that.
1 second, yeah. Just see whether it is shared, right?
Yes, we could see it, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizer and especially Syed Wajid for having given me an opportunity to share a piece of my mind on the process of assessment on certain criteria, especially the criteria on student support and progression. And before moving on to my presentation, I would like to really thank the wonderful presentation given by the earlier speaker, Madam. I just could see a very excellent and enthusiastic, inspiring teacher in her. So thank you, Syed, for this is an opportunity for us to listen to people who have actively involved themselves in the promotion of higher education in terms of its quality, in terms of sustenance, and all their efforts.
Thank you, Dr. Vanitha, for that good words. Okay, carry on.
Ma'am, it was really wonderful. I'm actually struck with the way of your presentation. And this is the university I was working prior to my in retirement. Now I'm in another college. And when Dr. Syed asked me, I just picked up one criteria without knowing how intensively I can go with the presentation because student support and progression has not much to talk, but to only to show that this is what is really wanted to, you're expected to do. And just as an introduction to all my participants who are associating themselves for assessment and accreditation, as you all know, for the last 4-5 days, that people must be telling what is NAAC and all other things related to assessment and accreditation. This is an autonomous institution and which has been established just to check whether the quality of education is maintained and there is a sustenance in our quality drive, and is it getting enhanced to the tunes of the generations which are facing the problems of higher education. So with that small introduction, I'll move on. When you ask either a teacher or an institution that you have to subject yourself for assessment and accreditation, to my knowledge, not many come forward for that kind of exercise, basically because they don't understand why and what benefit that an assessment and accreditation can bring to them when they go for assessment. First thing that all of us need to understand, it is only the institution which gets accredited, but the benefit is enjoyed by the individual. Because an accredited institution gives a kind of an academic identity to all the stakeholders and especially teachers. And the benefits, as I already said, get expressed in so many ways. When you send an article for publication, when they see the institution from where the article has come, definitely there is a second chance to view the paper before they say yes or no. And when you send a proposal for even research funding, your institutional background matters a lot. So we teachers will have to understand, even rightly pointed out by early speaker, assessment and accreditation is just an exercise. But the internal strength that we derive from undergoing all these exercise actually strengthens us as a good teacher and gives a lot of support to the institution and gives meaning to the students and the stakeholders who are associated with us. So that's the biggest benefit an assessment can bring to us. So it helps the institution to know its strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities through a very, very informed review process. Friends, you believe it or not, 10, 15 years back, when somebody wants to go attend a refresher course or an orientation course, I don't think any management will come forward giving a permission to the teacher to attend to such kind of things. But now management is sending letters to the teachers stating that this is time for you to go for the second refresher course or third refresher course, because they have understood that it is the teachers' quality improvement actually is mandate for any institution to go for assessment. And that kind of understanding gives in realization of what strength we have. I normally don't call it as weakness, but the opportunities or challenges that we have to overcome, and opportunities which can be used only when you subject yourself in a very systematic way of understanding the core values, the 7 criteria, and what is expected from each one of these criteria. So that actually gives a new phase and meaning to the existence of an institution. And it identifies an internal area of planning and resource allocation. When it comes to the college where you have an aided course and a self-financing course, most of the time the money that is allotted by the management is spent for enriching the courses which are on the self-supporting programs. But now there is an auditing to see whether the resources are properly allocated and there is a proper planning before the allocation, and this happens only after NAAC. Outcome provides funding agencies and objective data for performance funding. As you all know that NAAC A grade is mandatory for colleges to go for autonomy and colleges to apply for either RUSA grant or for other grants of the government, be it a state government or a central government. Performance funding, I mean, the funding is based on your performance that is supported by NAAC. Initiates institution into innovative and modern methods of pedagogy. I think quite a number of lectures have been given on how the pedagogy can be improved over this period, and gives institution a sense of direction and identity, provides society with reliable information on quality of education offered. And accredited institution always is preferred by the stakeholders, especially by the parents, because an accreditation actually stands for its quality in terms of teaching, quality in terms of teachers, quality in terms of infrastructure. So naturally, you get the best of students aspiring to get admission in your institution if you are accredited with better grades. And when this HR of companies, when they come for placements, they have access to information on the quality of education offered to. So based on your accreditation, even the packages are being decided based on the scores you get. And I'm sure in my own city, the same course offered in 2 different colleges, but our HR person, when they go to a particular college with high NAAC grade, their package itself is definitely few thousands more than the one which is being decided in a college which lesser grade. In fact, HR people don't prefer to go to colleges with lesser grade. Promotes intra and inter-institutional interactions. As pointed out by many speakers, we've been remaining as islands of excellence so far by minding our own business, but it is NAAC which has given a lot of scope to look beyond our own institution, to look beyond our departments. Even interdepartmental, extra-departmental, inter-institutional interactions have taken place only after we had chose to subject ourselves for assessment and accreditation. So these are in general the benefits that one can enjoy either as a part of institution or even the institution can enjoy by subjecting themselves for assessment and accreditation. And I don't want to talk much about the vision of NAAC. Probably all the speakers would have been discussing on that. But my submission here is quality a defining element through a combination of self and external quality evaluation. This is what. So the quality has to come from self. Because unless until you are wedded with the principle that you will not do anything without quality, no amount of external pressure can make you qualitatively a better person. So that is what NAAC also expects. It should become, it should get inculcated, it should become your own mechanism of doing. And that's why always we tell quality is only through inspiration and not through inspection. And we only need to aspire for quality. To my dear participants, I just would like to share a bit of my thought in this direction. When I say quality through inspiration, there are 4 or 5 I's, alphabet I's in that. The first I is identification. So all my dear participants who are here, in this past 4 or 5 days, even a week program, you would have identified some of the best practices of some of the institutions, some of the speakers. So the first step is identifying a best practice which you consider as your benchmark so that you can emulate their success in your own venture. So the first I in becoming qualitatively a better institution or a better teacher is first is to identify. Having identified, then you'll have to take it to your institution. You have to sit and talk to your principal or IQAC coordinator or your management to say that this is the best practice that I have seen in yet another college, which has given a good ranking. So when the management or the principal or to whom you are sharing with, if they also agree, so identification, institutionalization, and it becomes a kind of inspiration for everyone to follow. Now, when say for example, we used to have a practice in our department. If a teacher has more number of research projects to complete, we have an arrangement in the department where the entire workload of the teacher, weekly workload, is being spread within 4 days of a week. The 5th day, it can be a Monday or it can be a Friday, depending on the teacher's expectation. We just allow the teacher to be with only the project work so that 3 days a week is instantly given to the teacher to work with a project. So this is the best practice that I used to tell that you don't have a teaching workload, but you can focus entire energy and your ideas on these 3 days. So this can be actually followed by other institution also. So once it is institutionalized and it becomes an inspiration to all of us to follow, and if inspiration is there, I think a third party assessment in terms of inspection is not required. That's why equality can only through inspiration and not by inspection. And we all of us only need to aspire for quality, and automatically thing comes. And NAAC only gives a kind of a guideline for us to aspire, how equality can be aspired in what are the criteria it can be expressed and how it can be expressed. And moving that, of course, mission I don't want to touch upon. And friends, this is the area where when I took charge of IQAC coordinator way back 15 years back, I had a lot of confusion with what are core values and what are the criteria and how they get interconnected to each other. And since this is the scheme under PARAMARSH where the St. Joseph College has taken other colleges who are not facilitated with the assessment process. They are given an idea as what is NAAC, what is the assessment process. So let me think that I am addressing to the colleges which are going with the first time of assessment, or even if you have already involved yourself with the assessment, there are areas, there may be some gray areas which you wouldn't have thought much about. So I just take few minutes to say what are core values and what are criteria and how these core values are expected to be expressed in the criteria. In short, these criteria are the indicators which are expected to express all these core values that are being expected by NAAC. The first core value is contribution to national development. Be it a teacher, or if you are preparing a curriculum, you're taking a student support service, you should have in mind that it should have a contribution to national development, because the higher education is the biggest sector which supplies the much needed labor to the be it industry or service or whatever it is. So how much it can contribute to national development in terms of equity, in terms of all other aspects. So do you have a scope of introducing or rather putting the national development as an agenda while you have your strategies framed? That's the first core value. The second core value that is expected to be expressed in the 7 criteria are fostering to global competencies among students. See, my generation, education and employment came in the same package. I got a job as a teacher and I've retired as a teacher and I continue to be a teacher now. But this is not going to be the case with our children, because they may work in a bank for some time, they may move to an IT company and an insurance company, and finally at the age of 45 they get fed up of all the work and they'll start their own business. So which means you have to inculcate a kind of sense of lifelong learning, where the world of skilled work and world of competent learning can be brought together. Sometime back, I saw it in newspaper that one of the premier institution, the student of a premier institution, was offered an annual package of around 96 lakhs per annum. Can you imagine that what kind of expectation that the institution will have on a student? So you are you make students as a competent learner, but at the same time, you have to make them skilled workforce also, because industry has no time to train them and then absorb them into job. That combining skill and competency has to start from here itself, and from your educational part, from your undergraduate level itself, and what these institutions are doing in making these two come together. That's the fostering global company. Because now we are in a world where MNCs are knocking the doorsteps. As I said, 96 lakh pay package is given by an MNC, not by an indigenous company. So this has to happen. And inculcating a value system among students. It's just not the skill and the knowledge that is important, but you have to be identified as a good human being. So that's why education is all about training your head, training your hand, and training your heart. Learning to do, learning to learn, learning to do, and learning to live together, and learning to become. But we are not sure whether this is automatically happening. I can give an example. You can pardon me if I'm wrong in this case. When Supreme Court made this paper called Environmental Studies as mandatory for all the undergraduates, the noble purpose behind making environmental studies is to make the students to look at the environment, to have a look at and create an interest on the environment, and that interest should become love towards environment, so that they would become warriors to protect the environment. Because an environment is yet another factor of production. You cannot neglect environment anymore. That's the purpose. But I do not know as a system in teaching whether we were able to do that purpose. Ever since we allotted 2 credits to that particular paper, we never allowed the students to look at the environment even through our windows. When that is the case, how are we going to add value system, and which is very, very important, especially in a country like India with so much of differences? How are we to give a spirit of righteousness, a spirit of team building, spirit of understanding each other, accepting the differences, without which an education can never become complete? So whether there is any scope in the criteria that you are focusing, where the value system, inculcating value system, becomes so very automatic. So that's what NAAC expects from us. And then the next one is promoting use of technology. Friends, we are actually in a new global economy, which is powered by technology, fueled by information, and driven by knowledge. Half-life of information continues to shrink, and access to information continues to grow exponentially. The education per student package is unimaginably huge, and the source of getting information is also very vast. Unless and until you have an access to technology, this is not possible. Library is one way where you have information, but even that library needs a help of technology to expand, as I said, to feed the growing new economy. And of late, I'm also hearing and then reading on Gen Z students, Generation Z students, who are supposed to be a different kind of students. For ages, we as teachers in the class, we've been using kind of a strategy which is more common to us in spite of the different generations we are facing. In three and a half decades of my teaching, I think I have not changed much, especially, I mean, except using technology to a very, very limited level of preparing a PowerPoint or showing their web link to have an additional learning. I have not gone much. But this generation is somebody different, especially a Generation Z is a little different from the earlier generation. They belong to a kind of an age group of 18 to 23 years. For an undergraduate, definitely the Generation Z only will be entering the portals of higher education. They are more access to the technology and the way with which they can use and they can use the technology is unimaginable. So a teacher has to update themselves so that the same technology can be applied in your own teaching learning methodology. Now, especially with the pandemic, cell phones are the most important tool for educating, or rather learning, both for teaching as well as learning. So how now are we going to engage the students with that technology? Self creation of blogs, you can have Facebooks, you can have YouTubes created so that students get excited to look into those, because now I think reading habits among students, especially reading a physical book, is getting reduced. So to cater to their interests, so if you ask some question, the children are not interested in going to a library and taking the books or anything to answer you back, but instantly they'll browse in their own phone and get the answer. So how are we going to feed their thirst for knowledge in using the technology with which they are more accustomed to? So that's again one part. And of course, promoting the use of technology is just not only in teaching learning, it can be in administration and e-campus, LMS, all things are being explained by my earlier speakers. And the fifth core value that we are expected to be expressing is quest for excellence. The colleges should aim for potentials for excellence. They have potentials that has to be expressed in a proper way so that they become centers of learning or centers of excellence. Basically, the quest can be you can feed their quest once you are able to differentiate them as higher learners, job seekers, and job providers. One need to think, as a teacher, one need to think, if my student would like to go for higher studies, what are all the courses and how am I to deliver the content of the course so that promotes him from one area to the other area, so that it is easy for him to move to a level of higher learning. If he has an expectation, or rather he would like to go as a job seeker, what are the courses that I have? I should make the student to think. I should think, and then I have to design these courses in such a way that student appreciate my thinking, that there is a scope for him to emerge as a job seeker. If I want to become an entrepreneur, in any course, there should be some module, some content, which will give a provision for a graduate to convert himself into an entrepreneur. So in short, it's a kind of a SWOT analysis in terms of looking at the strength, the opportunities and challenges that one has, and which promotes the institutions and the individuals at a higher and higher level. So if these are the core values, what is expected is these core values should be expressed in these 7 criteria. Of course, the curricular aspect should have a room for all the 5 criteria, all these aspects. So now the title that is given to me is Student Support and Progression. So I leave alone all the other, which are already very meticulously done by my earlier resource persons. The one which I would like to touch upon is Student Support and Progression. Now, where the learning takes place. Now, I just now, before moving on, what NAAC expects, but what the real world expects are what as a teacher expect from a student. And there is always a kind of a misconception or rather improper understanding. No, see, basically you ask a teacher, what are you planning to do through your teaching? A teacher of my generation would always say that I'm here to prepare my children for 50 long years of existence or their life. You ask the parents, what do you expect from higher education? They would say that my child, when they come out of the portals of education, they should get their degree and their appointment letter. Both should be in the same time. So they are, for them, education is preparing students for a labor market. But if you ask, interestingly, the student, what do you expect from a teacher? He would ask, from higher education, he will answer that I want both. I want to be prepared for 50 long years, and also I want the best education so that I get the best job when I leave the portals of higher learning. So how are we now going to make these demands meet with? I'm just, I take the permission of the audience to give one example. If you follow me, you may be able to answer me. There is a history department in Madras University. The professor would be sitting in his room when these research scholars are admitted to this department. On the first day, he would ask these research scholars to come and assemble in his room. Behind his seat will be a big, a large world map. Will be hung on the back of the seat. So he'll just ask these students to identify some places in this map. He would have given, find out where is, for example, if in the Indian, he may ask to identify a state or a river, or in the world map, some places of his interest. Now these students, immediately would put their faces on the map and they'll try to identify the places with the help of a pencil. After 5, 6 or 7 places to be identified by the students, and he asked once, where is Bay of Bengal? When this question was asked, the students got relieved because Bay of Bengal occupies a bigger portion of the map. So they just kept their palm on the Bay of Bengal and said, here is Bay of Bengal. Professor, neither the first time or the last time, care to look at the map to see whether they have identified right or not. But when they said that Bay of Bengal is here, when they placed the palm on the map, he said, you're wrong. How could they go wrong? It's there, occupying at almost the 3/4 of the world map. How could they go wrong? Since I don't get the reply from the audience, I myself will give the answer. Bay of Bengal, that's why if you follow me, you will be able to answer. It's just outside the window of Madras University. The one learning lesson that a teacher wanted to give to the students is, in Tamil they say, Puttiyai puttagathil thedade. Don't search knowledge in the book. Whatever is given by the teacher, try to find its relevance outside the classroom. And that's the role of a teacher. And that's how a student can be supported to progress for further and further levels. What is that you have to make the student to search knowledge outside the book? Leave alone the skills and other things that you are going to add to him. But first thing is to inspire him to find knowledge not inside the book, not inside the classroom, because these both are only for preparing him for facing exams. But when he takes the knowledge outside the classroom and when he tries to find the resemblance of the knowledge that is learned inside the class in terms of reality, there is the success of the teacher, where you're supporting the student for further and further levels of progression. So with this, let me just move on. So as previously said, every key indicator, they have 2 types of measures. One, it can have a quantitative metric, which I have mentioned as QNM. The other one is qualitative metric. For qualitative metric, mostly it is peer team that would have a verification. A quantitative metric is already, it gets verified by a third party, by the data verifying team, even before the peer team comes to the institution. So leave alone whether QNM or Q, the weightage given for student and support progression is 130, in which student support is for 50 score, weightage is given 50. And friends, in 5.1.1, weightage is 20. So I'm just giving a small hint here. Whichever is the criteria or other the key indicator for which weightage is 20, you have to be very, very careful in scoring the maximum, because maximum score will be 4. If you lose even 1 in that weightage 20 makes a lot of difference. Whereas in a indicator where the weightage is for just 5, if you lose 1, that won't make much difference. But for the metrics or the indicators which has very severe or high weightage, one has to be very careful to see that you get almost 4 or otherwise at least 3, because that is where you are having a scope of improving your scores. And of course, I do agree with my previous speaker that all our efforts are just not only to get the scores, but to serve the education community or the institution and the society. But of course, we do have a second agenda that by virtue of our service, we should also would like to enhance the weightage of the institution. So the 5.1.1 actually speaks about the percentage of students benefited by scholarships and free ships provided by the government during the last 5 years. Friends, you all know that the government is very generous in giving scholarship, but the eligibility for scholarship and free ships comes only when you admit your children based on the roster or the admission procedure that is to be followed by the state government. So this is indirectly a way of looking at whether the admissions have taken place as per the reservations policy. But once the reservation policy is adopted, there is a scope for more children getting scholarships. If that is not there, most probably you will not end up in showing a data which will have children with scholarship and free ships. There are institutions which are giving free ships to first generation learners, especially with the first generation girl children. And the practice in our state is that especially in Bardiyar University, is that when the college is offering free education to 1 or 2 children, whether it is a self-supportive program or an aided program, they can aspire for increasing 10 to 5% of the seats when there is a demand for the course. So this is a possibility where by giving free ship and giving scholarship to the children, you are indirectly helping the gross enrollment of students to the higher education. So number of students who have benefited out of scholarships and free ships, both provided by the government, year-wise you take, and what are all the schemes under which these benefits are accruing, you have to have a list and also number of students. So this is the way you have to calculate number of students benefited and the free ships, divided into 100 will give you a percentage which can be averaged for 5 years. But what is more important is you have to have a data that you now at this juncture I would like to make a small take a small deviation. There's always a difference between a data, document and documentary evidence. NAAC in the previous cycles was more about data and document, but not much about documentary evidence. But now all the three are very important. So if I say, for example, if your academic calendar of your university of a college has list of teachers. That's the data. Document, the data is the one which you give, that I have 150 teachers with 4,000 students with 13 programs. The document is one way, the calendar, which gives how many teachers are in each of the department with what qualification they have. And documentary evidence is their appointment letter, which says that they are the teachers appointed by the institution on such and such time. So in earlier, NAAC never insisted, or rather the incision on the documentary evidence was much less, especially only it could happen only during the peer team visit. But now NAAC wants to have a third party assessment where both data, all the three, data, document and documentary evidences are playing a very, very vital role. One in the absence of the other will definitely will not allow you to fetch marks. So upload self-attested letter of the list of students, sanctioned scholarship, upload any additional information in this regard if you have any other special schemes for, as I said, free ships and first generation learner fee waiver or something like that. If you have given admission under sports quota with the fee waiver of 50%. All these details with proper documentary evidences can be uploaded. Average percentage of students benefited by scholarships and free ships provided government in the last 5 years, you have to give it in the terms of data template. Now the standard operating procedure in claiming the 5.1.1, they are giving metric details. Of course, average percent, upload the sanction letter of scholarship and free ships, all the year-wise data to be given. And here, a specific instruction to all the colleges is, please read the standard operating procedure. The manual is only again an indicator, but how that indicator can be understood and how proper data can be shared only can be understood while reading the standard operating procedure SOPs. The specific instruction to he's on this percentage of students getting scholarship is only government scholarships are to be added. For a large data, if you have too many children under that ambit of getting scholarship, and the data verification scheme will ask for documents for randomly selecting the student to specify whether our claim is true or not. See, one thing that all of us should make clear, NAAC is not a team to find fault with the institutions. They are actually to find the fact. What is happening, whether it is faithfully recorded. Whatever is recorded, is it happening? That's the job of peer team and the NAAC while they involve in assessment and accreditation. So this is how you can keep your documents ready for verification if the data is large. Then average percentage of students benefited by scholarship, free ships provided by the institution. I think it's the same as the previous one. And this has a weightage of just 5. But as I said, if you lose even one score here, it is not going to make much. But in the previous, the scholarships given by the government, if even instead of 4, if you get 3, or if instead of 3, if you get 1, the weightage, since it is 20, that will tell upon this total scores. So aspire maximum wherever there is heavy weightage. That's the message I want to give. And this is how it has to be calculated. It's the same, upload additional information and number of students benefited, all other things. So SOP here in this case is the same, but the one careful understanding is audited statement showing the expenditure on scholarship and free ships. Suppose if an institution says that I have spent so much on the scholarship of the students by giving scholarship, free ships or fee waiver, there should be a source for the fund and there should be proper accounting, and those accounts should also be audited. This is very important. You cannot just say that I've given this. Previous cycles, there was no scope for such kind of an audited statements, but now one has to be very, very careful. Even for if you have a larger data, then the there will be some samples taken from students' list, and then they will verify. And what is to be noted here is data given in metric 5.1.1 can never be included here. This should be totally a different one, which is given only by the institution or other non-government agencies, maybe your bank or some NGO or some philanthropic people would have come forward to give some, financial assistance. That only has to be recorded here. Then capacity building and skill enhancement initiatives taken by the institution, which includes the following. This is again a quantitative metric. What kind of soft skills and language and communication skills that are given to the students at what level? My dear friends, me as a teacher, I don't believe in giving soft skill as an extra module to the students. I don't think a third party who come in the name of trainees or motivational speaker can give training to inculcate soft skills. It's the teacher who has to do this. What is the scope that you have? Because if a teacher doesn't do, nobody else can do. And soft skills, maybe, I do not know, maybe a different domain for professional colleges, but for an arts and science colleges is an integral part of our own teaching learning practice. Are we not teaching soft skills inside the class? We may not specify in terms of group discussion, in terms of team building, but it's automatically happening. If it's not happening, we'll have to find a scope for doing that, and that has to be faithfully recorded. And language and communication skills, of course, especially when children from rural background they come, they need to have some additional assistance given in terms of improving their proficiency. Life skills, which can be given by giving yoga, physical fitness, for which you have to have a proper gym and you have to have a room with medical facilities so that any emergency can be attended to. And how the cleanliness and hygiene of an institution and the students is kept intact. All this will come under a capacity building. Of course, this is again a quantitative metric. If you have all the above four, which means soft skill, language, communication, provision for everything, and some of the colleges have now come forward to give all these things as certificate courses, and some of the colleges have included with some credits also, and it depends. And autonomous colleges have greater scope in bringing all these things in the gambit of credits itself. And computing skills is that familiarity that you are going to make the student to use these computers and all other things, because all are not computer savvy. So where is the scope for all these things to be inculcated? Incorporated, and that has to be recorded. And I'm sorry, there is a small mistake, and this is not the file description. Then data requirement is name of the capacity building and skill enhancement initiatives. So here, of course, as I said, that different colleges have different practices. You can choose some certificate courses in some verticals and give scope for students, and as advanced learners and slow learners, and accordingly some certificate programs can be designed and give them. NAAC will not entertain any course or any effort which is less than for 30 hours. So a certificate course of 30 hours, either by our own teacher or by outside, or they can even get it from other open access sources, can be incorporated so that the building of capacity in terms of enhancing skills becomes so very automatic. And if you have included in your regular curriculum, then you may have to give a mentioning on which year it is being implemented, how many students have enrolled, and the agencies with which these courses, with which you have a tie-up or an understanding, so that these skills are given. What I suggest is that you can, with all this internationalization taking place, all global companies coming forward for training students, you can have a training, an MOU signed with a global company where they come forward and give training for 30 long years or 30 or 40 hours. And those who equip themselves within that 30 hours and qualify themselves for an exam, and which will be a bit expensive for, because a global certification will cost more than 5,000 rupees. I'm saying even the least will be 5,000 rupees. If there is a scope, and this is how you actually nurture the interest of an advanced learner, where you design a course where the 30 hours of training, you just end up with a certificate. But furthering level, only with an advanced learners it can happen, which will promote them to an extent of getting global certification. And you have to now create a vertical modules for these kind of courses and have a tie-up with an external agency. Now, this is actually outside the classroom, this has to happen, and that will definitely promote the employability and their capabilities. And you have information, and you have to create link to the institutional website. Any additional information regarding this also can be added. The standard operating procedure in claiming this is the capacity building and skills enhancement initiatives taken by the institution will include all these things, as I already said. And the documents required are web link to particular program or scheme that you have organized. And what is now more important is that the 30 hours of offering, and what is the evaluative mechanism that you have arrived to see that they qualify even for a small certificate. So that should be always associated with the evaluative procedure also. And copy of the circular informing the students about the courses, and report of the event, and geotagged photograph with the date and the caption for each of the scheme or an event. List of programs conducted and number of students enrolled for each of the events. Especially in a class of 40, 30, not necessary that everybody should have aspire for one. I said that's why even there you can give an option where some verticals can be decided in terms of modules, and the student going in one module can proceed with the second semester, third and fourth semester, and end up with some advanced course certifications. Consider all the students who have enrolled for the scheme. Then DVV can seek the documents regarding the attendance and certificates for the selected list of program students enrolled in a specified program. I think this is where very recently some of the colleges in some state are being debarred by the NAAC for giving fake certificates. So my humble request is that don't hide anything, or rather don't overestimate anything, but try make a very earnest effort in the directions which are given by NAAC. This is a scope which NAAC gives us to think at how the capacities of the student can be built by thinking in terms of all these kind of extra programs. Mere circulars and student list will not be accepted here. Avoid programs conducted as part of the university curriculum. So this is where, whether you're don't think that's only autonomous colleges have scope for this. Even a non-autonomous college affiliated to any of the universities can think of this extra capacity building in terms of designing the course. And those course, earlier we used to say add-on courses. If 1 year they complete, they get a diploma. The second year, an updation of that with a more depth in content will allow them to have a certificate. And the third year they continue with that, they get a postgraduate, PG diploma. That was earlier focus, especially in colleges in Tamil Nadu, in terms of add-on course. Now it has been split into different modules as per the requirements. Say for somebody wants to work on network, that they can do. So somebody wants to do in development, that you can have some modules based on their expectation or aspiration. You can have some verticals designed for capacity building. And the next one is the average percentage of I'm not able to students who have completed the competitive scope for students to go for competitive exams and career counseling offered by the institution in the last 5 years. And unfortunately, the institutions come with huge claim, especially not a good number of institutions are able to show the outcome of such kind of an effort in terms of placements or in terms of clearing the competitive exams. But there are institutions which are making extra effort in bringing experts from outside and giving them some extra coaching, so that along with their studies, the students have the scope of preparing themselves for some competitive exams like bank exams or group 1 or group 2. And there are colleges which are even guiding them to take exams out at UPSC level. And of course, most of the time the college will have a claim that we have trained so many students, but in terms of outcome, if you measure, not very encouraging outcome is seen. But doesn't matter, the effort has to be appreciated. At least have a faithful recording of the schemes that you have planned in your college to prepare the students for extra. And hello, yes, I'm sorry. And then number of schemes and number of students who have passed in the competitive exams has to be recorded. And this is the formula to calculate. And any other additional information you want to add, you can always add. And SOP, standard operating procedure, with regard to this is students benefited referred to the students enrolled divided by attending the set programs. And if the data is, so not divided, enrolled or rather attending, it's not that number of students who have just registered, but the students who were faithfully attended the program and earned the required attendance to qualify themselves for further levels of examination or evaluation are only to be included here. And whatever the effort that you have made, that has to be properly documented in terms of the brochures, circulars you have prepared on, and photographs which you have taken, which are now geotagged photographs to prove the identity and the justification of these programs. And year-wise list of students attending such programs are also to be taken with, which is to be signed by the competent authorities, none other than the principal of the college or IQAC coordinator in this regard. Now comes another quantitative metric, a transparent mechanism for timely redressal of student grievance, including sexual harassment and ragging cases. Friends, if you refer the UGC guidelines, I think way back in 2016 itself, UGC insisted that the college should have internal compliance committee to deal with the committees related to sexual harassment. And this, if you again look at the composition of the committee itself, will say that how strong and how effective the committee is going to be. You have to have some women lawyers, NGOs, and local even police officers enrolled, and along with your teachers and some administrative staff also. And this is called internal ICC. And apart from that, you have to have anti-ragging committee, you have to have all these statutory and regulatory bodies should be faithfully formed, and you have to have a record, and you should be given a letter of intimation to the members who are being inducted into these committees, and the time frame in which they will be functioning. Normally, a letter is given, as intimation letter is given that you are inducted. We are happy to inform you that you are inducted as a member of ICC for the time period from here this to this, which means that after 2 years or 3 years, when the term is over, there should be some replacement of yet another person. It cannot be just one team handling the entire thing for 4 or 5 years. So that, what is a policy that you have when there is some complaint that has been raised by any of the student. It can even happen along with for the teacher also. And do you have any mechanism of collecting the information of the grievance? Normally, earlier we used to have a green box where anybody can drop the letter to give their grievance, which will be addressed at least once in 3 months or 2 months rather. The box will be open, but nowadays the grievances are too huge that you need to open every month. And do you have a policy to have a zero tolerance in terms wider awareness and understanding? You have created that these are all the committees in place and you have a place for representing your grievance. And normally counseling and grievances, when they come forward, the students, they don't want their identity to be revealed. So that has to be incorporated in the policy. And of course, you can have a recording of everything and need not have to be made public. So that kind of mechanism should be there in the place. So if all the 4 are there, well, automatically you get the 4, and only you have 3 in operation, automatically your scores proportionately being decided based on the availability of all the schemes that you have in the campus. And data requirement is upload the grievance redressal policy document with reference to the prevention of sexual harassment and anti-ragging committees, constitution of various committees for addressing the issues, minutes of the meeting of the committee, a number of cases received, and how many cases were redressed, and what is the time frame within which these cases are redressed. So earlier the colleges used to just claim that we do have committees and we have not received any complaints, though it's a co-education college, so we don't have any recording. But I think it is better. There may be cases and they should be faithfully recorded, and the privacy of these cases getting recorded should also be maintained, and it has to be documented faithfully. So minutes of the meeting of Student Redressal Committee, and upload any additional information if you have anything extra on this issue. The standard operating procedure here is that, of course, as I said, circular web link on committee report justifying the objective of the metric. And I think circulars about the and web link can be, but committee report need not have to be given in the in open. It can be as a document for verification later. And then mechanism of redressal should be available as document and should be hosted in the, of course, there is a mechanism, there's a policy has to be hosted. And the number of cases and how it is being dealt need not have to be hosted. And what is a proof of constitution of internal committees? Proof is nothing but, as I said, as per the UGC norms, if you form a committee, giving proper appointment letter signed by the competent authority is a proof, and having meeting of the said committee members should have a periodical meeting to review the cases. Even if there is no cases represented, that can be faithfully recorded, and that would be the great proof that the committees are not framed for sake of framing, but they are very active. They are not dormant. And then metrics. Okay, then the student support progression, which has a the total weightage of 25 score. Again, this is a quantitative metric. Average percentage of placement of outgoing students during the last 5 years. So placement now has become the biggest agenda for NAAC, because we want to prove that our students, they don't only just get the degrees, but they are also getting ready for placement, and they are offered with better jobs. And it's the duty of the institution to see that they become the best ambassadors of the institution when they are placed in but good companies. So how many placement activities are being conducted on campus, and where is the provision for students to go for an off-campus interviews? how many employers have visited, and you can give the contact numbers of the HR and people of the employers who have visited company for recruiting your children, and how many students are placed. Then you can give a year-wise detail for the last 5 years. And of course, those who are submitting their assessment report SSR for this year may not have a very encouraging number, as placements are not very huge as expected, and rather when compared to the previous year. That doesn't matter, but this is the universal or national case. You don't have to worry, but please have, it's very difficult if there is very no, I don't understand. Okay, very difficult if they get campus placement off campus, but I mean, educate the students when they get the placement. They will definitely, they have to inform the teachers with their appointment letters and pay packages. It's better when the peer team comes. You also have a data as on how many students are placed and what is the average salary they are receiving, at least the range within which these students are getting their placement. All these things can and be recorded and can be shown. And this is the formula: number of outgoing students placed and number of total number of students outgoing and number of students placed will give you a percentage of placement every year that can be summed up for last 5 years. Self-attested list of students who are placed. Upload any additional information if you have. But here what is important is, if the same student has multiple offers and that cannot be counted 2-3 times, you only can have counted once. The rest are the list of students who are placed. Placement through is a placement drive or a pool that has happened on campus, or you have made some arrangements for them to have an off-campus placement drives attended by the students. And if you have made sincere effort, you have to have data on everything, and that has to be shared. And DVV will have a verification of the appointment letters of the selected students, either with the companies or with the students. So you cannot do this work in this regard. And then average percentage of students progressing to higher education. This is, as I already said, instantly you have to think when the student comes to college, what would be his expectation. One, a set of students may think in terms of aspiring for higher learning, and some may aspire to go for entrepreneurial activity, and some may have an aspiration to take up a job. So your modules are to be designed, your skilling programs and certifications are to all should have a scope for all these three. And if students are progressing for higher education, again you have to have, this is a bit tough task for a college to do, because once they leave the campus, it's very difficult to track them. When you have an e-campus developed where you have the details of all the students who get enrolled in terms of their mail IDs and phone numbers and everything, get in touch with them and create a great alumni network so that the students come forward to reveal where they are, what they are doing after their graduation. And if they are coming back to the same institution, no problem, you can always get the data. But in case of moving out of your own campus to the other colleges or other state, it may be difficult, but you have to find a mechanism by which it's possible for you to track where they are and how many are moving from UG to PG, and how many of your students from PG has moved to MPhil and PhD and so on. This is the, now somebody is asking me to move the window from this place, but I'm not able to do it. I'm sorry. If something is missing, I think I am sharing my PPT. You can always have it later. I'll look at it. So number of outgoing students progressing to higher education and total number of final year students. the standard operating procedure in maintaining your file and record is that appearing, passing competitive exams for higher education cannot be considered. Only when they get admitted, then that is considered as students moving to higher education as a progression. And proof like admission letters or identity cards for selected students progressing to higher education will be asked by DVV partners. This is where I said it's very difficult unless and until you have a strong network with the students, either in terms of alumni contact or your contact IDs of the students in terms of their emails, getting prepared in your e-campus. This may be a very, very tough task, because once they leave the institution, it would be very difficult to get in touch with them to have all the data. Some of you have to manage this. So students who are qualifying for exams like GMAT, CAT, GRE, TOEFL and civil services, you have to have a record. This is all quantitative numbers only. And formula for each exam you can have, and work it out and give an score for, work out a score for the last 5 years. Of course, all are to be supported with data. The standard operating procedure is in absence of a certificate that a claim will not be considered. This is a big problem. If you say that 5 out of 60 students have cleared NET exam or CAT or TOEFL, and definitely you have to have a certificate to say that your claim is more authentic. In case you only know the data but you don't have a document for verification, I think the claim cannot be made. And qualifying certificates should also be a copy of it and has to be hosted, to be filed as e-copies, and that has to be shared with the DVVs. And exams conducted for job recruitments other than examinations conducted by the central state government not to be included. This will not come under this ambit of students' progression. The last one, the next one is students' participation in activities, and this has very heavy weightage of 45. Number of awards, medals for outstanding performance in sports, cultural activities at university, state and national level. And award for a team event should be counted as one during the last 5 years. So how good an institution foster the sports activities or the games, the participation of students in the games and sports, and do we have a scope for encouraging extra curricular activities in terms of cultural programs, either hosted by the institution or permitting the students to participate in the events hosted by the other institutions. This is basically because sending students outside is to know the best part of the other institution which they are engaged with. So here, your own students become ambassadors of your institution. And second benefit that can happen is that they bring the best practices of other institution to your own institution. So encouraging sports.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. We are running short of time.
Yeah.
Can we take a few questions? We have a lot of questions waiting.
Yeah, ma'am. I think name of the award, okay, medals, e-copies of all. I think these data requirements are very similar in all the cases. But I only want the teachers to be very careful in going through the standard operating procedure, so that whatever they document in the proper sense, because learning for the first instance is much easier than unlearning something and then doing it again. So SOP has to be considered simultaneously when they prepare the SSR and prepare the documents related to it. And do we have a participative management where the students are involved in administrative positions and involved in clubs and activities? Do we have a student council? All these things are to be recorded, and Now good number of initiatives have come from colleges in making students be part of. There are colleges where IQAC has student, and there are colleges where even academic council has student representation, and student councils are very strong in some of the colleges, and they do a lot of participatory work. So all these things are to be recorded faithfully. And average number of sports and cultural events competition in which students of the institution participated during last 5 years. And of course, so if they have a representation at the university level and state level, the scores are, you have a scope for getting good scores on this. Okay. So events cannot be split into activities. The competitions organized by the institution without the participation of their own students will not be considered here. If something is organized for others, suppose you are hosting the competition of other institution, that cannot be considered as your own event here. Then alumni engagement, I think this might be the last part of my this last part. Do you have a registered alumni association that contributes significantly? So alumni association, creating association was the first task. Now the association has to be faithfully registered so that it gets an identity. And a registered alumni will have an income and expenditure statement audited by the external auditor, and everything accounts when you say you have a registered alumni. And how do you have mobilized funds? Is there any philanthropic alumni who has contributed towards the institutional development? And this becomes actually a qualitative metric, and the contribution through alumni association through different forms can be recorded and can be faithfully shared to the NAAC. And what NAAC says is that any contribution from alumni less than 5 lakh, greater than 5 lakh will have a score of 4, and accordingly, proportionately, your score is being decided based on the amount that you are able to mobilize. And alumni association, unless and until you are able to create a sense of belongingness among your students, that they have to get connected to their alma mater, this may not happen. But now you have to educate the students how important for them to be associated. And some of the colleges have claimed that their alumni's contribution doesn't come in terms of monetary contribution, but they come in the other way in terms of sharing their experience and then motivating children. Even that can be recorded, but may not have a monetary stake on that. So this is the SOP. I think I'm done with all the points that are to be discussed under the student support progression. And earlier version of NAAC actually expected the students' profile itself is to be looked into. How many are first generation learners? How many are differently abled? And how many are girls? And all these things were there, but now that classification is not there. But the support mechanism can never be initiated in an organization if you don't understand the profile of the students in terms of their requirement, in terms of their different capabilities. So even if it is not there, and it is better for the teachers to have a look at the profile of the students, so that your support mechanism in terms of creating a physically challenged students in terms of ramps and toilets and reading materials in the library, all can be created only when you have a proper understanding of the profile of the student. And friends, the NAAC, as I already said, that it is a something which gives a lot of scope for us to think on a larger platform, on a bigger scale, to add value to the service that we are doing. My humble submission is that it's an extra burden for every teacher, especially for an IQAC coordinator. It is just an extra work. But I'm only requesting nobody can go back to start a new beginning. But anybody can start today to make a new ending by proper understanding of all the exercises to be undertaken by NAAC. I think I'll stop with this with a thanks, and I'm ready to answer your questions if you have. Even if you don't have time, please collect the questions and you post it to my mail. I would be answering those questions. Thank you for your patient listening and all my dear audience. Yeah, ma'am, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
You can stop sharing.
Yeah, please go ahead, madam.
For enlightening us with your insightful session. I'm sure participants have enriched from your valuable session to support our students, and they can help them in a right way to progress. Due to time constraints, we'll take up 2 questions, one from a Zoom platform and another one from YouTube. The first question is from Ms. Anushka. When it comes to a placement, should it in terms of percentage or in numbers?
Ma'am, you only have to have a number and then to be calculated as percentage. Number of students placed against number of students who have qualified. See, there are 2 things. One, if you take the pass percentage of the class, you may have only 90%. All clear pass percentage only will be 90. But unfortunately, NAAC insists on the class strength. So where the scope of getting good percentage is very much reduced, because who are eligible for appearing for placement, against which how many are placed is reasonable data. But they want how many are enrolled and how many are placed. So that actually is the scope of getting good score is very much limited, because the eligibility is not here considered. Yeah, see, there are people who are not ready for placement, but they want even those people to be included, students to be included in the list.
Thank you, ma'am. One last question. It's from Dr. S. Rikala. Can soft copy of printed books be accepted as e-books?
For?
That's the question posted. She is a librarian.
Madam, when you become a member of Enlist, you have a scope of getting good number of InflibNet and Enlid. All these are free source where you get good amount of, number of books. But my request to the librarian is, even my own librarian says that she has a collection of 60,000 books. But that's not the way to claim. You have to find a web link for sourcing those books, and that has to be documented for the benefit of the student, so that it is to be indexed in terms of author wise or in terms of subject wise, so that there is you facilitate the students to have access to those e-sources. Otherwise, just having everything, even your web, if you go to Google platform and search, everything is available. That's not the purpose of a library. If you are a member of Enlist or any other data source, that available books has to be indexed in terms of either author or the subject, and the web link for all these things have to be recorded in an institution.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a number of questions posted by our participant. I request you to answer those questions whenever you find time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I request Professor Divina Lobo from the Department of Mathematics to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sana. I hope I'm audible to all of you.
Please go ahead, ma'am.
Yes. Good evening to all. On behalf of the IQAC team of St. Joseph's College Autonomous, Bangalore, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our honorable guest speaker, Dr. B. Vanitha. Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us and giving deep insights on how to make our learners a useful resource to our society. I would also like to thank Dr. Shobhana Vasudevan, our speaker of the first session, for her lively and insightful presentation. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to extend my gratitude to our rector, Father Sweber de Silva, our principal, Father Dr. Victor Lobo, for their constant support and guidance. I would also like to mention our deep sense of appreciation to Mr. Clement de Souza, the Accreditation Ambassador, PARAMARSH, for his guidance and extensive contribution in making this event successful. Special thanks to Dr. Said Wajid, Director IQAC and Coordinator PARAMARSH, Ms. Reshma, Secretary IQAC, Ms. Sana Khan, MC for today's sessions, Ms. Aparna and Ms. Nisha for introducing our guest speakers, Ms. Amita, Dr. Jayashankar, Dr. Jayashree, Dr. Sunita, Dr. Tulika, Mr. Leonard for moderating both the sessions, and to the entire IQAC team who have helped us in making today's session a resounding success. I'm extremely thankful to the management and staff members of all the mentee institutions and all our participants who have joined us via Zoom and YouTube platform for participating overwhelmingly. Very special thanks to our technical team comprising of Mr. Shankar, Mr. Raman, and Mr. Samson, who are working behind the scenes, providing flawless technical support. Once again, I thank you all for your cordial cooperation. Over to you, Ms. Sana.
Thank you, Professor Divina. And thank you all the participants and the resource person for the lively participation. Looking forward for the same spirit and the participation even tomorrow. Kindly, I request everyone to join the workshop tomorrow at 3 p.m. for the sessions on criteria 6 and criteria 7. It's time for a virtual photograph. I request everyone to kindly switch on your videos.
Dr. Vanitha, if you're around, kindly join us for the video session. Ma'am must have left. Okay. Hope someone is clicking.
Is it done, sir?
Yes. Yes, Anna, you can conclude here.
Okay. Thank you all. See you all tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Bye, everyone.